For the third side of my cube, I decided to do skin cancer. Skin cancer is the abnormal growth of skin cells. It is typically caused by UV radiation, such as that from the sun, tanning booths, tanning salons, tanning beds, lamps. And this UV radiation will impact the DNA of the skin cells and damage them. And so the DNA will no longer be able to control the cell's growth. So there will be uncontrollable growth from the cells, which then cause one of these three types of skin cancers. So there's obviously three naming types: basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and melanoma. Basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma is not considered very deadly or dangerous. You should still get it. You should still get it treated, but it's not considered dangerous because they don't. It does not spread. Melanoma will spread, and that is why it's considered the deadlier form of skin cancer. And there's ways to tell what kind of you have. Obviously, basal cell carcinoma will there it is. Yeah. So it will be pinkish, not quite reddish, but there will be pinkish. It will have some scaliness to it, and it will be raised. However, it will still be very flat. So it'll be more like this on the skin. Squamous cell carcinoma, you can imagine more like this. Obviously, not to size, but as you can tell, it will have more volume to it, and it will be more scaly, more red. It'll look kind of like an inflamed version of the basal cell, although it's not inflamed. It just looks redder. It looks worse, essentially. However, not the end all be all to diagnose it. That's just how it appears to basal cell. Melanoma, you have the ABCD way to discover it. This can be from new moles or previous moles. The A stands for asymmetrical. If your mole or other skin disorder lesion, I don't think I said that right, lesion or wart or whatever becomes asymmetrical, that's one sign, such as right here, this is not asymmetrical. B would be borders changing. So for example, you had a mole that was shaped like this, a circle, and all of a sudden it became like this. That could be a sign of melanoma. Your C would be colors changing. So once again, if it looked like, let's say, this and changed to this color, that would be a sign of melanoma. Or D, diameter. If your skin disorder is over a quarter of an inch long, that's pretty big, and that could be a sign of melanoma. Now, basal cell carcinoma forms from growth of the basal cells at the bottom of the epidermis. Squamous cell carcinoma forms from uncontrollable growth of the squamous cells in the epidermis, so above the basal cells. And melanoma forms from the pigment-producing melanocytes at the bottom of the epidermis. There are multiple ways to treat skin cancer. One such treatment is a skin biopsy. However, there's two ways to do a skin biopsy in order to remove skin cancer. I'll get into those two in a moment. Another popular way to remove skin cancer at the very beginning is freezing. If you've ever had like a wart removed by an at-home thing, you may know what I'm talking about. You freeze, or the doctors more likely will freeze the skin area impacted by the cancer cells, and they will die off immediately due to the temperature. Then over a period of a few weeks, they begin to fall off, and that's the end of that. Another way is obviously chemotherapy. However, that's reserved for the more serious skin cancers, as that can cause other kinds of cancers and weaken your body even more. So it's not typically used, only in worst case. Now, skin biopsy is some of the most common. However, as I said, there's two, one of which is just surgical removal. It's like just when you say skin biopsy, this is a more common kind. You cut out the area impacted by it. And however, the pros of this is you're going to get all, or if you do it right, you're going to get it all. However, it will also take off significant amount of healthy skin cells as well. And that obviously wouldn't work very well in areas of where the skin is very thin, such as your nose, the inside part of your elbow, or like your arm, or the skin is very thin. Obviously, that wouldn't be an option because there's not a lot of skin cells there. So it's called Mohs surgery, Mohs. The doctors remove one layer of skin at a time, examine the remaining skin layers, and then if you have more cancer cells, they'll remove one layer again. So it's very slow, very meticulous. However, the pros of it is that it will minimize the amount of healthy skin cells removed while maximizing the amount of cancerous cells removed. And that is my slide over skin cancer.